There are different kind of memory systems, like knowing how to dress, knowing how to spell, knowing how to read, knowing how to drive a car, knowing how to find your way around, remembering that you're going to retire in a couple of months so you don't forget to get people out of your schedule. So I'm trying not to make any stupid mistakes. Aging does not make you lose your memory. Bad luck does. Aging makes your memory less efficient. But you know, I can't run as fast. And we've talked about this before. Nothing works as well as it did 20 years ago. That doesn't mean that I'm ready to hang it up. Even if I can't remember, if I set the right structure around me, I'm going to do fine. Aging makes the memory more inefficient. There is no such thing as age-associated memory loss. How do you treat short-term memory? The 1-minute rule. If there's anything I want you to remember when I'm gone, it's the 1-minute rule. Whether your memory's good or bad, it's often a miracle if you pay attention to it. So let me show you how it works again, even though we've done this before. Let me give you one of my most embarrassing moments in that I, as a memory expert, really did screw up. Pamela and I were on this wonderful vacation, and I assured her and myself that I would never forget the name of the restaurant. It was wonderful, it was romantic, it was beautiful, it was just a wonderful night. Guess what I didn't do when I developed the picture? Write it down. Guess who still, over a decade later, doesn't know the name of the restaurant? I can find it, but I can't name the restaurant I would never forget. Because I didn't spend my minute well. Anything given less than 1 minute of thought will fade from your memory. That's the short-term memory trick. Why are some people taking notes? Short-term memory. Why do you take notes in school? Short-term memory. Because the mere fact you take the note makes your brain concentrate on certain things longer. You slow it down and can bring things in better. And you have a chance for a review. Without the notes, you can't do that. What are some examples of using it? Often, I'm going to have trouble remembering what I'm told. And let me just talk about kind of a normal interaction. Pamela and I are getting ready to go somewhere. So I'm in one space in the house and she's in another, and I go, Pamela, don't forget to get the fish after work. And of course, she barely hears me, but she processes it kind of, and she goes, okay, what are the chances that she's going to remember? Slim to none. She's not paying attention. Why should she be? I'm not paying enough attention. A simple thing will help her remember better. And if she starts having memory loss, I need to do this even more carefully. I need to go, sorry about this. Oh,
You're not sorry.
I'm not sorry. I need to go into the room and embarrass her, make eye contact. Now I say, Pamela, will you please get the fish after work?
And I write it down.
And she writes it down or dictates it into her little iPhone. Now we've got a plan. I just spent my minute well, she's more likely to remember because of that extra effort. Again, it's very simple in so many ways. How many have lost their car in a parking lot? 2 ways to use the 1 minute rule. One is stop by your car for a minute. Don't think about anything else. Look at where you are. Think about it. Tell yourself a little story about it. Or if you're like me, if I go to the mall here, I always park by Dillard's off Goodlet Frank. Drives Pamela crazy because she doesn't need to do that, but that way I'll always find the car. If I can find my way out of the mall. Following characters in a novel. I mean, how many have found it trickier to follow characters and remember them when you read novels? Again, you've got to slow your brain down and make it concentrate more because there's lots of information. What I would suggest is inside the front blank cover of the book, write the name, the page number, and a couple of facts about the person. And then you're going to remember it better. Why is it inside the cover of the book? It's where you're going to use it. Because the note doesn't do any good across the room. You may not even have to look back at your notes by just spending that extra effort. Where I place things. Oh, how many have a takeaway spot? Oh, I'm not seeing enough hands. I've talked about this for a long time. What's a takeaway spot?
Table in the front hall.
A table in the front hall, your pile. And what goes there? Keys, sunglasses, purses, wallets, grocery lists. The stuff you don't want to leave without. Everything needs to have a spot and needs to go in its place. Don't creatively make a place where you won't forget where it is. Because you will regret it at some point. There's always that trouble with names, and let me go through the thing that I usually do to embarrass myself. My name, it took me a while to come up with. The first part was kind of easy, but the second part took me about 2 years to come up with something for an image. Because if you spend time making associations and images, you're going to remember better, because you spent more time and your brain has more time to grab onto it. It's kind of like the old mnemonics. That just slowed your brain down and let it grab onto things for longer. So my first name is Bill. Bill's easy because you just think of duck. Duck has a prominent feature in front called a bill. We're easy. Beckwith was harder. And for those who haven't heard this, a bird has a prominent feature in front called a what? A beak. What does a bird do with its beak? It pecks. Bill Beckwith. Oh, it's awful. But that's the best I could come up with. 2 years. Phone messages. Why is it that the message pad is next to the phone and not across the room? Short-term memory. How many read back the message after you're done with it? It reinforces your brain and makes you have fewer mistakes. Where I'm going. How many make little schematic maps instead of just trying to find your way blindly? In fact, it's interesting, with the new GPS system, people don't know their way around town anymore. Because they listen and are told where to go, they don't have any idea how to navigate. We need some of those navigation skills back, especially if I'm going to start having memory problems. Well, what if I have something like to take medications at 4 o'clock every day? How do I make sure that happens? A timer. Where should the timer be? By the medication. How loud should it be? Very annoying. How long should it ring? Until you turn it off, because then you trip over the medication. It works if something's that critical. So what advice would I give you? I like that slide. I should have worn my other glasses, because then I'd look like this. First and primary thing that I want you to do that really helps all levels of memory loss, and people of any age, whether it be 20 or 120, is don't forget the 1-minute rule. Every time you multitask, every time things come in fast, your brain isn't going to catch up very well. Arrange regular exercise. There's good evidence, best that I've seen, about anything you can do to help your brain. The people who keep themselves in better physical shape tend to have less atrophy, less small vessel disease over time, based on a long-term MRI study, than people that aren't. What was interesting is it didn't seem to alter the course of Alzheimer's disease. Although that wear and tear, I guarantee you, isn't going to help. So exercise is very critical. Optimize stimulation. What do I mean by that? Do things you love. Go back to playing the guitar. If you're trying to put new language into your system, if you got rusty on French, go back and relearn French. Do things that stimulate your brain, that add interest and pull. People do best if they have pull that moves them forward, not just pushed and meandering. It becomes trickier if you start having a memory disorder. Be social. That's why it's always good to see people come to groups like this. It's good for me because I'm by nature actually pretty shy. I kind of avoid groups, so thank you for feeding my social needs today. Organize, organize, organize. Memory doesn't work well if you're a stacker like I am. I'm trying to get better organized. And after I retire, I'll need to be more organized because I'm not going to have a secretary to say, here's your schedule. Use clocks and calendars. Don't trust your memory. Script your life with a calendar. And if you start having short-term memory loss, all the more important to have a script and know how to use your calendar well, because that holds your life together and allows all these other things to work. And check it frequently. Allow adequate time. You know, as I get older, I don't move faster. And speed makes me not attend to the 1-minute rule. Take your time to do things. Very critical. If something drops out of your life, like work, fill it with something else. I'm not saying go back to work, but I've seen so many people that, for example, retire and it's a big hole in their life. What did they learn to do for the last 50, 60 years? Work. What do they do for stimulation? Work. What do they do when they're retired? Golf for a week and then it gets old. Again, we need to fill those holes, whatever they come from. If I have changes in ability so that I can't play tennis anymore, I need to do something to fill that stimulation. I need not to create those holes in my life. Reminiscent activities. It's fun to go back and think about where you've come from periodically. That's not a mere trivial exercise that helps mood. It's fun to kind of renew those things and remember what life was all about in the past. And I would say one of the things we don't do enough of is bring music and art into our life. You know, people talk about going to learn a new language, do crossword puzzles, all this. You know, going to an art museum with the right structure does a lot for a brain. And you don't have to talk about it, you can just experience it. A recent study I read said that even people with pretty serious memory loss and Alzheimer's still understand beauty. Probably not the abstractions, but the beauty. They can still enjoy smelling the flowers, still enjoy music, because you don't have to talk about it, you experience it. It's doing, often not saying. And we're so used to trying to say. One of the problems with these disorders is you can't say much anymore. As always, let me close by saying, whatever your goals are for the future, which I'm saying is have a good life, be persistent. Or be like this mouse's cousin. Which mouse gets the cheese? The second mouse. Be the second mouse in life. A couple of final comments. People have said, can I still contact you? I'm still trying to figure out how to work that out. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to pasture. And I'm still trying to figure all the parameters out. Boy, that doesn't show up well. I should have a different background. I'm still having the same email, and that's my phone. Therefore, people will still be able to leave messages for me. And I still have the lifeandmemorycenter.com. If you haven't read the articles and you want them archived,